Now, I have been asked so many times to put these two lenses head to head. The battle of the affordable cine lenses. And I've been putting it off for some time, and that is because Sirui has just changed absolutely everything with two new additions to the Nightwalker series. Welcome back to the channel. Now, I have literally reviewed every single Sirui Nightwalker lens individually, as well as the Viltrox Cine S line lenses, all for micro four thirds. But even after all the questions, I've never put them head to head, and that is until today. And until today, both manufacturers had comparative focal lengths being the 23mm, 33mm, 55, 56mm. Each had three specific lenses that kind of were in competition with each other. And Sirui has now added a 16mm, also a T1.2, and a 75mm at T1.2. And these two new lenses is what changes everything. Now, before we get to the comparison shots between the brands, I do want to show you the new 16mm and 75mm because they are amazing. As you know, Sirui has the Nightwalker set for all 5 mounts: Fuji X, Canon RF, Sony E, L mount, and micro four thirds, which I have. Now, this is how the lineup looked before, and these were the full frame equivalent focal lengths. But now with the addition of the 16 and 75, you have a super wide 32mm on micro four thirds and a super telephoto at 150mm. Now, just to give you an idea on the focal lengths, check this out. This is the entire range, and what I have done here is I've placed the tripod down and just swapped out lenses to show you how much range you get from the new 5 set cine lens from Sirui. Now, to add the compression and bokeh factor into this, I'm going to place the tripod at a specific point, have Michelle stand at a specific point, crop her, and then slowly move the tripod back for every single lens, making sure I crop Michelle exactly the same, so you can understand the compression and the depth of field that you get from a longer focal length. Now, when looking at the new 16mm and 75mm T1.2 from Sirui, I cannot help but notice how insanely sharp these lenses are. They're not overly sharp for sure, like a photo lens, but looking at the previous Sirui Nightwalkers, even wide open at T1.2, they were a little soft, and that's fine. It's kind of supposed to be a little bit soft and wide open, but I don't know how Sirui's done this, that these can just seem so much sharper at T1.2. When you're shooting T1.4, T1.5, they are super crisp, super clear, and the chromatic aberration definitely seems far less than what it did before. Now, if you do want to check out my full Sirui Nightwalker kind of review, I've got on all three lenses individually, as well as a complete set of looking at the entire range, previously when there was only 3. And there I kind of delve into the whole chromatic aberration kind of thing for you to have a look at. Honestly, for me, the 75 is probably my favorite. I've always been a telephoto lover. I enjoy shooting much longer focal lengths. And when it comes to the 16mm, it's beautiful, and it still produces a very soft background at T1.2, even on micro four thirds. But the 75mm T1.2 just destroys the background. In true cine lens fashion, Sirui has kept the lenses the exact same size. The weight difference between all of them is minuscule, but your focus gear and T-stop gear is in the exact same position. So swapping out these lenses on a gimbal or a rig with a follow focus is perfect. Okay, so why the comparison now only? Well, previously both lenses were very similar, a similar price point. Both had the 24-23mm, 33-35, 55-56mm equivalent focal lengths, and the Sirui was a T1.2 and the Viltrox was a T1.5. And to be fair, you really don't shoot wide open at T1.2. The depth of field is so insanely shallow that when you manually focus it is pretty hard. But it is nice to have that T1.2 there. So if you are in a situation where you need that extra light, it's available. So for comparison, I took the 3 comparative focal lengths, leaving the 16 and 75 out of this fight, and I'll bring that in just now. Now bear in mind all these comparative shots are straight out of camera. So white balance has been set on the camera, natural color profile, no additional adjustments, color grading whatsoever. First, the Sirui 24mm at T1.2, and then at T1.5. Now I've put the Siruis at T1.5 just to show you comparatively and make it kind of even, because that is probably where you are going to shoot at, and also the T1.5 on the Viltrox is still pretty sharp. And this is the Viltrox 23mm wide open at T1.5. Side by side, you start to see a very similar pattern, which I'll explain in a minute. Here's the Sirui 35mm at T1.2, then at T1.5, and this is the Viltrox 33mm at T1.5. Side by side, the pattern emerges again, and the Viltrox lenses definitely have more contrast, and they also are a fraction sharp at the same T-stops when wide open. Finally, here is the Sirui Nightwalker 55mm at T1.2, then T1.5, and this is the Viltrox 56mm at T1.5. The same higher contrast of shadows can be seen again on the Viltrox. Now what does this mean? Yes, the Viltrox definitely gives you a more out of camera use. You can definitely use the shot straight out of camera and it doesn't kind of lack that contrast. In saying that, on the flip side, the argument could be that the lack of contrast allows you to do a little bit more post grading and you can add your own contrast or keep a flatter image. Sure, I get that. And that all comes down to preference. But when it comes to chromatic aberration, the Viltrox definitely has a lot more pink chromatic aberration as opposed to the Sirui Nightwalkers. The Sirui Nightwalkers definitely have some form of teal kind of chromatic aberration, but it's not as noticeable as the pink chromatic aberration that you get out of the Viltrox. For me and my kind of style, I much prefer the cooler teal kind of chromatic aberration. It just looks a little bit more natural as opposed to the super strong pink chromatic aberration that you see around necklaces and jewelry and those types of things. And now looking at the price point of $350 to $400, sure, these lenses are going to have chromatic aberration. I've done a comparison with the IRIX lenses, which are like triple, quadruple the price. So if you're looking at something that's like zero chromatic aberration and you've got an endless budget to spend on cine lenses, you're probably not going to be watching this video anyway. But when both lenses are stopped down, the chromatic aberration disappears. So if you're going to be shooting these lenses around T2, T2.8, you probably won't see any chromatic aberration whatsoever. These are straight into the sun at T1.5. You can see the amount of chromatic aberration. And now if I stop it down to T5.6, you can see that the chromatic aberration completely disappears. Another thing to take note of is the starburst effect and the lens flares. Very similar on both these lenses. So which one should you choose? Well, Sirui has made it pretty obvious now that the one to go for is the Sirui Nightwalkers. And the reason I'm saying this too is the addition of the 16 and 75mm gives you a full set. It gives you a wide range of lenses so that if you had to go and film something, you don't need to take additional lenses. You can take just one Nightwalker set of lenses and you can go and shoot. Unfortunately, when Sirui hadn't launched the 16 and 75mm, the Viltrox was extremely competitive. But now, without Viltrox having a wider lens and a more telephoto lens, it makes the Sirui Nightwalkers become an obvious choice for pretty much anyone that's going to be buying affordable cine lenses. Honestly, these two new 16 and 75mm are amazing. I cannot get over the fact how great they are. I've actually shot a couple of photos on these and I was blown away by the quality and the sharpness. Seriously, if Sirui had to go back to the drawing board and just say, listen guys, we're going to redo the 24, 35 and 55mm and put the same amount of, I don't know, technology back into those lenses, they'd probably have one of the most perfect sets around. I will leave a link in the description below so you guys can go and check it out and pick up your set of lenses. I shoot absolutely everything at the moment on the Sirui Nightwalkers and the new 75mm. I mean, imagine monopod stabilized camera shooting even a wedding and you're shooting basically 150mm micro four thirds at T1.2, T1.5, getting some beautiful bride shots on a monopod, nice and static, nice and still, little bit of movement, beautiful lens. Well, that's it from me. Wherever you're in the world, have a good day, good evening, good night, goodbye.